The security alarm cut through the marble lobby of Meridian Technologies like a knife. Marcus Hayes froze mid-step, his worn messenger bag slung over one shoulder, his daughter's lunchbox in his other hand. The red lights bathed everything in crimson. Employees scattered, heads turned, and then the voice cut through the chaos. "Stop right there!" Victoria Chen emerged from the executive elevator, her heels clicking against polished stone with the precision of a metronome. 34 years old, 5'6" in her signature black suit, she commanded the room without raising her voice. CEO of Meridian Technologies, Forbes' most powerful woman under 40, the person who'd built a $3 billion empire from her father's struggling software company. She didn't look at Marcus like a person. She looked at him like a problem to solve. "Security," she said, her tone ice cold. "Detain him." Marcus's pulse kicked up, but he stayed still. 2 guards approached, hands hovering near their belts. The morning shift employees pressed against the walls, phones already out, recording. "Ma'am," Marcus said quietly, "there's been a mistake." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "The system doesn't make mistakes. You triggered the asset protection protocol. That means you're carrying company property without authorization." "I'm not." "Search his bag." The lead guard, a man named Patterson, who Marcus had shared coffee with dozens of times, looked uncomfortable. "Mr. Hayes, I need you to place the bag on the floor." Marcus met Patterson's eyes, saw the apology there. He lowered the messenger bag slowly, set it down, stepped back with his hands visible. His daughter's lunchbox, bright pink with unicorns, looked absurd against the severe corporate backdrop. Patterson unzipped the bag. His hand emerged holding a small black device. Sleek, expensive-looking. The prototype access key for Meridian's new security system, worth approximately $200,000 in intellectual property. The lobby went silent. Victoria stepped closer, examined the device without touching it. When she looked up at Marcus, her expression had shifted from cold to frozen. "Explain." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Someone planted it." "Planted it." She repeated the words like they tasted bitter. "You're a maintenance supervisor. You have access to every floor, every office, every executive workspace." She paused. "Including mine." "I clean your office every night." "Yes, ma'am, but I didn't take—" "You clean my office," Victoria interrupted, "where prototype devices are tested, where confidential materials are reviewed, where I left that exact access key on my desk last night." Marcus felt the floor tilting beneath him. "Miss Chen, I have a 6-year-old daughter. I'm not a thief." "Thieves don't announce themselves." Victoria's voice could have cut glass. "Call the police. I want him arrested for corporate espionage and theft." "Victoria!" An older woman's voice, sharp with authority. "Eleanor." Chen appeared from the executive corridor. 72 years old, silver hair pulled into a bun, Victoria's grandmother and the company's founder. She'd handed the reins to Victoria's father 30 years ago, then watched Victoria take over 2 years ago after his sudden death. Eleanor walked with a cane, but nobody mistook it for weakness. She'd built Meridian from nothing in a male-dominated industry in the 1980s. She'd survived hostile takeovers, market crashes, and personal tragedy. She looked at Marcus. Really looked. "What's your full name?" Eleanor asked. "Marcus Anthony Hayes, ma'am." "How long have you worked here?" 14 months. "And in those 14 months, has anything ever gone missing from this building?" Victoria started to speak, but Eleanor held up one hand. The gesture was small, absolute. Marcus met Eleanor's eyes. "No, ma'am, not that I'm aware of." "Patterson," Eleanor said, "when you do the nightly inventory checks, has Mr. Hayes ever been flagged?" Patterson shifted uncomfortably. "No, Mrs. Chen, his record is clean, perfect, actually." Eleanor's gaze returned to Marcus. You have a daughter? Yes, ma'am, Sophie. She's 6. Where is she now? Marcus glanced at the clock on the wall. 7:43 a.m. She should be at school. I drop her off at 7:30, then I come back here to finish paperwork before going home. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Eleanor nodded slowly. Then she looked at Victoria. Call the police if you must. But first, check the security footage from last night. Victoria's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Doubt, annoyance. The footage won't show anything. He's too smart for that. Then it won't hurt to check. The tension stretched like a wire about to snap. Finally, Victoria pulled out her phone, fired off a text. Security will pull the footage from my office. 1,800 hours to 0600 hours last night. She looked at Marcus. You'll wait in holding until we review it. I need to pick up my daughter at 3, Marcus said. You should have thought about that before you stole from me. 2 guards flanked Marcus. Patterson looked miserable. The other guard, younger, kept his expression neutral. They led Marcus toward the security office in the basement, away from the watching eyes, away from the phones recording his humiliation. As they walked, Marcus caught sight of his reflection in the polished chrome of the elevator doors. I am 36 years old. Tired eyes, faded jeans, and a work shirt with Meridian Technologies maintenance embroidered over the pocket. He looked exactly like what he was, a single father working 2 jobs to keep a roof over his daughter's head. He didn't look like a thief, but he also didn't look like someone anyone would believe. The holding room was 8 feet by 10 feet. Concrete walls painted institutional beige. A metal table, 3 chairs, 1 fluorescent light that buzzed like an angry wasp. Marcus sat. Patterson stood by the door, clearly uncomfortable. For what it's worth, Patterson said quietly, I don't think you did it. Marcus nodded, didn't trust himself to speak. Your daughter, Patterson continued, she's the one who draws those pictures, right? The ones you keep in your locker. Yeah, she's talented. She is. The silence stretched. Marcus checked his watch. 7:52. Sophie would be in her 1st grade classroom now, probably already making friends, already laughing. She had his smile, her mother's eyes. Her mother, who died 3 years ago, cancer, fast and brutal. Sophie barely remembered her. Marcus closed his eyes, breathed. The Navy had taught him how to stay calm under pressure, how to control his heartbeat, his breathing, his fear. He'd used those skills in places most people couldn't imagine, places he tried not to think about anymore. But this was different. This wasn't a firefight in Kandahar or an extraction in Somalia. This was corporate America, and here, accusations stuck whether they were true or not. The door opened. Victoria Chen stepped inside, tablet in hand. Her expression was unreadable. Behind her, Eleanor followed, moving more slowly but with that same commanding presence. Victoria set the tablet on the table. The footage. She pressed play. The screen showed Victoria's office from a ceiling-mounted camera. Timestamp, 23/17/04. Last night, 11:17 p.m., Marcus appeared in the frame, pushing his cleaning cart. He emptied the trash, wiped down the desk, cleaned the windows. Professional, efficient. His movements were practiced, economical. Victoria's voice was flat. Where's the device? The footage continued. Marcus finished cleaning, checked the room once more, then left. The timestamp read 23:31:52, 14 minutes, 48 seconds. Play it again, Victoria said. Slow motion. Patterson did. The footage crawled. Marcus cleaning, Marcus leaving. There, Victoria said, pointing. 23:29. His hand goes behind the desk monitor. Eleanor leaned closer. He's adjusting the cable, it's unplugged. Or he's grabbing the device. The device isn't there, Eleanor said patiently. Watch again. His hand is empty when it comes back. Victoria's jaw tightened. She fast-forwarded. Then someone else. The footage showed nothing. Empty office. Still. Quiet. Until 04:32:18. A figure appeared. Male. Medium height. He moved quickly, purposefully, straight to Victoria's desk, opened the drawer, pulled out the access key. Then he turned, and for just a moment, his face was visible to the camera. Jason Reeves, Senior VP of Product Development. Victoria went rigid. The figure on screen moved to Marcus's cleaning cart, left in the hallway outside Victoria's office. He unzipped the messenger bag hanging from the cart handle, dropped the device inside, zipped it closed. Then he disappeared down the hallway. The footage ended. Nobody spoke. Marcus broke the silence. I leave my cart in the hall while I clean. It's protocol. I lock it, but someone with executive access could override it. Victoria stared at the frozen image of Jason Reeves's face. Her expression was stone. Patterson, she said softly, bring Mr. Reeves to my office. Now. Yes, ma'am. Patterson left quickly, grateful for the exit. Victoria looked at Marcus. Something shifted behind her eyes. Not warmth exactly, but recognition. The realization that she'd almost destroyed an innocent man. Mr. Hayes, she began. Marcus. Marcus. She said his name carefully, like testing the weight of it. I owe you an apology. You owe me my job. That stopped her. Excuse me? Marcus stood slowly. You accused me of theft in front of 50 employees. You had me detained. You were going to have me arrested. His voice stayed level, but the words carried weight. An apology doesn't fix that. Victoria's spine straightened. She wasn't used to being challenged. I made a decision based on evidence. You made an assumption based on who I am. Marcus interrupted. A maintenance worker, someone invisible, someone easy to blame. Eleanor's cane tapped once against the floor. A warning or agreement. Victoria's face flushed. That's not, isn't it? Marcus picked up his messenger bag, slung it over his shoulder. I've worked here 14 months. Perfect record, never late, never a complaint. But the second something goes wrong, you look at the guy with the mop. I was protecting my company. You were protecting yourself. Marcus moved toward the door. Jason Reeves is on your executive team. Someone you trust. Someone with power. It's easier to blame me than to question someone like him. He stopped at the threshold, looked back. I need this job, Miss Chen. My daughter needs me to have this job, but I won't work for someone who sees me as less than human. Victoria opened her mouth, closed it. No words came. Marcus left. Eleanor watched him go, then turned to her granddaughter. You made a mistake. I know. Do you? Eleanor's voice was gentle but firm. You didn't just make a mistake in judgment. You revealed something about yourself, about how you see people. Victoria's hands clenched. I built this company back from the edge of bankruptcy. I've made hard decisions. I can't afford to be soft. There's a difference between being strong and being cruel. Eleanor moved toward the door. Your grandfather built this company on loyalty. Your father maintained it with respect. You're losing both. What do you want me to do? Eleanor paused. Figure out what matters more, being right or being just. She left Victoria alone in the holding room under the buzzing fluorescent light, with the image of Jason Reeves frozen on the tablet screen. Marcus was halfway across the parking lot when he heard footsteps behind him. Mr. Hayes, Marcus, wait. He turned. Victoria Chen stood 10 feet away, slightly out of breath. Her perfect composure cracked at the edges. I can't let you leave like this, she said. Why not? Because... She stopped, started again. Because you're right. I did assume. I did judge, and I was wrong. Marcus said nothing. Victoria took a breath. Jason Reeves has been embezzling prototype designs for the past 6 months, selling them to competitors. The access key was his exit strategy. He was going to disappear this weekend. Good for you. You caught him. Because of you. If you hadn't been exactly where you were supposed to be, doing exactly what you were supposed to do, he would have gotten away with it. Marcus adjusted his bag. I didn't do anything special. I just showed up. That's exactly the point. Victoria stepped closer. You show up every single day. You do your job perfectly. You're raising a daughter alone, and I treated you like you were disposable. Her voice cracked, just slightly. My father used to say that character isn't what you do when people are watching. It's what you do when you think nobody sees you. She met his eyes. I watched that footage, all of it. I saw how you work, how careful you are, how you straighten picture frames and water the plants and make sure every single thing is exactly right. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. Sophie says I have to treat every place like it's our home, because somebody cares about it. Your daughter is wise. She's 6. Still wise. A moment passed. Traffic hummed in the distance. The morning sun climbed higher, burning off the last of the fog. I can't undo what I did in that lobby, Victoria said quietly, but I can try to make it right. Come back inside, please. Let me try. Marcus studied her face, saw something he hadn't seen before. Vulnerability, the crack in the armor. Why does it matter? He asked. You could just cut me a check, hush money, make the problem go away. Victoria's laugh was bitter. Because my grandmother is right. I've been so focused on being strong that I forgot how to be decent. And if I let you walk away, I'll never forgive myself. She held out her hand. Please, give me a chance to do better. Marcus looked at her hand. Manicured nails, expensive watch, soft skin that had never scrubbed a floor or changed a tire. But her eyes were honest. He shook her hand. One chance. Relief flooded Victoria's face. Thank you. They walked back toward the building together. As they reached the entrance, Victoria's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her expression hardened. Jason is in my office. Security has him contained. She looked at Marcus. I need to deal with this, but after, I want to talk. Really talk. About what? About how to fix this company, starting with how I treat the people who keep it running. She disappeared through the glass doors. Marcus stood in the lobby, watching employees scatter like startled birds. They wouldn't meet his eyes. Guilt and curiosity warred on their faces. Patterson approached, looking sheepish. Hey man, I'm sorry about... Don't worry about it. No, I should have said something. Should have stood up for you. Marcus clapped him on the shoulder. You had a job to do. I get it. Eleanor appeared from the elevator, moving with that slow, deliberate grace. She stopped beside Marcus, looked up at him with sharp, assessing eyes. You served, she said. Not a question. Marcus went still. Excuse me? Eleanor tapped her cane against the floor. Military, the way you hold yourself, the control. I've seen it before. Marcus's hand moved reflexively to his left forearm where his sleeve covered the tattoo, the trident, the eagle, the anchor, the flintlock pistol, the SEAL insignia. Navy, he said quietly. Long time ago. Eleanor nodded. How long? 12 years active, got out 4 years ago when my wife got sick. And you ended up here, cleaning floors. It wasn't said cruelly, just stated as fact. Marcus shrugged. Honest work, flexible hours, lets me be there for Sophie. Eleanor's expression softened. My husband was Navy, Korea. He used to say the same thing. Honest work matters more than impressive work. She studied him for a long moment. Victoria needs people around her who understand what real strength looks like, not boardroom games, real strength. She seems plenty strong to me. She's brilliant, driven, but she's afraid. Eleanor's voice dropped. Her father died suddenly, heart attack, 2 years ago. She had to take over before she was ready. She's been proving herself ever since, to the board, to the investors, to herself. Marcus understood that. Proving yourself, the weight of expectations. She'll come around, Eleanor said, but she needs to be reminded that power isn't the same as worth. She tapped Marcus's chest lightly with one finger. You remind her of that, whether you mean to or not. She walked away, leaving Marcus standing in the lobby, wondering what exactly he'd gotten himself into. Victoria's office occupied the entire northeast corner of the 42nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the city, sleek furniture, minimalist design, everything perfect, controlled, cold. Jason Reeves sat in one of the leather chairs, flanked by 2 security guards. He looked composed, confident, like he still thought he could talk his way out. Victoria entered with Eleanor behind her. Jason stood, smoothed his tie, put on his boardroom smile. Victoria, I'm sure this is all just a misunderstanding. Sit down. The command was quiet, absolute. Jason sat. Victoria remained standing. She placed her tablet on the desk, turned it so Jason could see the frozen image of himself holding the access key. 4:32 a.m., she said. You entered my office using your executive override. You took a $200,000 prototype from my desk. You planted it in Marcus Hayes's bag to frame him. Jason's smile didn't waver. That's not me. The facial recognition software says otherwise. 99.7% match. Software makes mistakes. Victoria leaned forward, hands flat on the desk. I pulled your financial records. You've deposited $460,000 in the past 6 months. Small amounts, different accounts, all from shell companies traced back to Vanguard Systems. Jason's smile finally cracked. Vanguard is our biggest competitor, Victoria continued. They've been launching products suspiciously similar to our prototypes for half a year, products you had access to in development. Eleanor moved to the window, looked out at the city. Her silence was somehow more condemning than any words. I want a lawyer, Jason said. You'll get one, after you explain why. Victoria's voice dropped. We hired you 8 years ago, fresh out of MIT. My father mentored you, gave you opportunities, trusted you. Why? For the first time, something genuine crossed Jason's face. Bitterness. Your father gave me opportunities because I earned them. You inherited this company. I had to fight for every promotion while you walked into the CEO office because your last name is Chen. Victoria went very still. So this is about me. This is about fairness. Jason stood, guards immediately tensing. I've worked here for 8 years. 8 years of 18-hour days, of canceled vacations, of sacrificing my life for Meridian. And when your father died, the board didn't even consider me. They just handed it to you. Because I earned it, Victoria said quietly. I rebuilt 3 failing divisions. I negotiated the Singapore expansion. I increased shareholder value by 47% in 18 months. You had a safety net. I had to be perfect. Eleanor turned from the window. So you became a thief. Jason's jaw clenched. I became realistic. This company was never going to recognize my worth. Vanguard did. They paid me what I'm actually worth. And you framed an innocent man to cover your tracks, Victoria said. A single father. Someone with no power, no voice. Someone you knew we'd believe over you. Jason shrugged. It was logical. He had access. He was nobody. It would have worked if I hadn't checked the footage, Victoria finished. If my grandmother hadn't insisted on facts over assumptions. She straightened. Security, take Mr. Reeves into custody. The police are waiting downstairs. I'll be filing a full report. As the guards escorted Jason out, he looked back at Victoria. You made this personal when you chose him over me. I didn't choose him, Victoria said. I chose the truth. The door closed. Silence filled the office. Eleanor moved to sit in the chair Jason had vacated. You're shaking. Victoria looked down at her hands. They were trembling. I trusted him. I thought if I worked hard enough, made the right decisions, I could avoid situations like this. You can't control everything, Victoria. I should have seen it. The signs must have been there. Eleanor's voice was gentle. Jason was very good at hiding, and you were very good at not looking. Victoria sank into her chair. What does that mean? It means you've been so focused on proving you deserve this position that you stopped seeing the people around you, the ones who are loyal, the ones who are struggling, the ones who are stealing. Eleanor paused. And the ones who are heroes without needing recognition. Victoria's thoughts went to Marcus, to the footage of him carefully straightening picture frames, to his worn messenger bag and his daughter's unicorn lunchbox, to the way he'd stood in that lobby, accused and humiliated, but never begging. I almost destroyed him, Victoria whispered. Yes. How do I fix that? Eleanor stood, leaned on her cane. The same way you fix anything worth fixing. Slowly, honestly, by showing up every day and doing better. She walked to the door, paused. He's in the maintenance break room, 3rd floor. You should go talk to him. What do I say? The truth. Start there. The maintenance break room smelled like coffee and industrial soap. Marcus sat at the small table, Sophie's artwork spread in front of him. Crayon drawings of flowers, of houses, of a stick figure dad holding a stick figure daughter's hand. He heard the door open. Looked up. Victoria stood in the doorway, looking profoundly out of place in her designer suit. Can I come in? She asked. Marcus gestured to the empty chair. She sat carefully, like she might break something. For a long moment, neither spoke. Jason confessed, Victoria finally said. He's been selling our designs to Vanguard for 6 months. He framed you because he thought we'd never question it. Marcus nodded slowly. And because I'm expendable. No. Victoria's voice was firm. Because I made people like you invisible, and Jason knew it. She looked at the drawings on the table. Your daughter drew these? Sophie, yeah. She's talented. She wants to be an artist or a veterinarian, changes every week. Victoria smiled slightly. She's 6. She has time to decide. That's what I tell her. Another silence, more comfortable this time. My grandmother told me you were in the Navy, Victoria said. Marcus's hand went to his forearm again. That reflexive gesture. 12 years. What did you do? Things I try not to think about anymore. Victoria heard the weight in those words. Didn't push. Why did you leave? Marcus's eyes went distant. My wife, Rachel. She got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Doctors gave her 6 months. His voice stayed steady, but barely. I put in for discharge. The Navy was good about it, expedited the process. I came home to take care of her. I'm sorry. She lasted 8 months, fought like hell, wanted to see Sophie turn 4. Marcus's thumb rubbed at the edge of one drawing. She died on Sophie's birthday, February 14th. Victoria felt her chest tighten. Yeah. Sophie doesn't remember much. She was so young. Sometimes I'm grateful for that. Sometimes it kills me. And you've been raising her alone since then. It's not alone. I've got Sophie. We've got each other. Victoria looked at this man, this quiet, strong man who'd served his country, who'd cared for his dying wife, who was raising a daughter by himself while mopping floors at night, and she'd treated him like a criminal. "I need to tell you something," Victoria said. "Earlier in that lobby, I didn't just make a mistake. I revealed who I've become. Someone who judges people by their position instead of their character. Someone who's so afraid of failing that I see threats everywhere." Marcus met her eyes, waited. "My father died 2 years ago," Victoria continued. "Heart attack, completely unexpected. One day he was fine, the next, he was gone. And suddenly I was CEO of a $3 billion company at 32 years old." She laughed bitterly. "Half the board thought I was too young, too inexperienced, a diversity hire because my last name was Chen. I spent 2 years proving them wrong, making perfect decisions, never showing weakness, never trusting anyone who might challenge me." "Sounds exhausting." "It is." Victoria's voice cracked. "And it's made me into someone I don't like very much. Someone who would rather blame an innocent man than admit she might be wrong." Marcus studied her face, saw the exhaustion, the fear, the loneliness. "My commanding officer used to say something," Marcus said. "The strongest person in the room isn't the one who never falls down. It's the one who gets back up after falling." "Did you ever fall down?" "More times than I can count." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "You know what the difference is between a good SEAL and a dead SEAL." "What?" "A good SEAL knows when to ask for help." The words hung between them. "If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one." Victoria absorbed that. "Are you saying I need help?" "I'm saying you're trying to carry everything by yourself. And that's not strength. That's fear dressed up as independence." Nobody had ever spoken to Victoria like this. Not her board members, not her executives, not even her grandmother, who at least softened her wisdom with affection. "What are you afraid of?" Marcus asked. The question was direct, honest. Victoria looked at her hands. "That they're right, that I don't deserve this. Without my father's name, I'm nothing." "And what do you think?" "I think—" Victoria stopped, started again. "I think I'm so busy trying to prove I deserve this that I've forgotten why I wanted it in the first place." "Why did you want it?" Victoria thought back to being 22 years old, fresh out of Stanford, watching her father navigate a hostile board meeting, watching him stand up for a junior developer who'd made a mistake, watching him choose integrity over profit. "I wanted to build something that mattered," she said quietly. "Something that treated people right, that valued innovation and loyalty and honesty." She met Marcus's eyes. "I've failed at that." "So change." "It's not that simple." "It's exactly that simple. Not easy, but simple." Marcus gathered Sophie's drawings, stacked them carefully. "I've got to pick up Sophie in an hour, but I'll tell you what I told my team back in the Navy. You want to lead? Then lead. Not by being the smartest or the toughest, by being the most honest, by seeing people, really seeing them." He stood. Victoria stood with him. "Will you come back?" she asked. "To work, I mean. I know I don't deserve—" "I'll come back," Marcus said, "but not as a maintenance supervisor." Victoria's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "I mean, if I'm going to work here, I want to work on something that matters. Security, safety protocols, making sure what happened to Rachel, to my wife, doesn't happen to other families." "I don't understand." Marcus's voice was quiet. "Rachel's cancer was caused by exposure to industrial solvents. She worked in a factory with inadequate ventilation for 8 years. By the time anyone noticed, it was too late." Victoria felt like she'd been punched. "Marcus, I'm not blaming anyone. It was a long time ago, different company. But I learned something. The people doing the actual work, they see the dangers first. and nobody listens to them because they're just maintenance, just janitors, just line workers. He met her eyes. You want to make a difference? Start listening to the people everyone else ignores. Victoria nodded slowly. Okay, okay, okay. I'll create a position, head of workplace safety and culture. You'll have full authority to audit every department, to implement changes, to build a team. She paused. Salary is $140,000, full benefits, college fund for Sophie. Marcus stared at her. Miss Chen. Victoria. Victoria, I don't have a degree. I don't have corporate experience. I'm a Navy SEAL who served for 12 years, a single father who's managed impossible circumstances with grace, a man who sees what others miss. Victoria's voice was firm. You're exactly what this company needs. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he held out his hand. I'll need 2 weeks to transition out of maintenance. Train my replacement. I don't leave people hanging. Victoria shook his hand. I wouldn't expect anything less. As Marcus gathered his things, preparing to leave, Victoria stopped him. Can I ask you something? Sure. The tattoo, the one on your arm, is it? Marcus rolled up his left sleeve. The SEAL Trident was there, exactly as Eleanor had suspected. Black ink, precise lines. The eagle, anchor, pistol, and trident. Below it, in smaller script, Rachel and Sophie. My mission. Victoria's breath caught. That's beautiful. It's a reminder, Marcus said quietly, that the mission doesn't end when you take off the uniform. It just changes. He rolled his sleeve back down. I'll see you on Monday. And Victoria? Yes? Thank you for giving me a chance to do more than just survive, to actually build something again. After he left, Victoria stood alone in the break room, surrounded by the smell of coffee and soap, looking at the chair where Marcus had sat. For the first time in 2 years, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she was doing something right. 3 weeks later, Marcus stood in the boardroom facing 12 executives who looked at him like he'd tracked mud on their carpet. You want to shut down production for 3 days? Richard Moss, VP of Operations, leaned back in his chair. Do you have any idea what that costs? About $400,000, Marcus said calmly. I also know what a workplace fatality costs. 15 million in settlements, incalculable in reputation damage. There's been no incident because I'm preventing one. Marcus pulled up images on the screen. 3rd floor assembly line. The ventilation system is cycling contaminated air back into the workspace. Workers are reporting headaches, nausea. It's the same setup that killed my wife. The room went silent. Victoria sat at the head of the table, watching. She'd promised Marcus autonomy. Now she had to prove she meant it. How long to fix it? She asked. 72 hours if we move fast. Permanent solution. Richard started to protest, but Victoria held up her hand. Do it. Schedule the shutdown for this weekend. Pay the workers anyway. Victoria, the board will... I'll handle the board. After the meeting, Victoria found Marcus in his new office, smaller than the executives but with a window. Sophie's drawings covered one wall. You made enemies today, Victoria said. I've had worse. Richard is already calling board members. They're going to push back. Marcus looked at her steadily. Are you asking me to back down? No. Victoria's voice was firm. I'm asking if you're ready for the fight. I've been ready my whole life. That Friday, the board convened an emergency meeting. Victoria sat at the head of the table, Marcus beside her. 12 board members, most of them twice her age, stared at them with varying degrees of disapproval. This is reckless, Board Chairman Harold Winters said. You've given an unqualified former janitor the authority to shut down production? I've given a Navy SEAL with 12 years of experience. In threat assessment, the authority to keep our people safe, Victoria corrected. He has no corporate credentials. He has something better. He has integrity. Eleanor spoke from the far end of the table, her voice cutting through the noise. I've reviewed Marcus's report. The ventilation issue is real. If we ignore it and someone gets sick, we're not just liable, we're culpable. Eleanor, with respect, Harold said, we can't run a company on sentiment. This isn't sentiment, Victoria stood. This is about what kind of company we are. My father built Meridian on the principle that our people are our greatest asset, not our technology, not our patents. Our people. She looked around the table. Marcus Hayes found a problem everyone else missed. He had the courage to speak up. And I have the responsibility to listen. If you want to remove me as CEO for that, then do it. But I won't compromise on safety. The silence was heavy. Harold exchanged glances with the other board members. Finally, he nodded. The shutdown is approved. But this sets a precedent, Victoria. Choose your battles. I am, she said quietly. That's exactly what I'm doing. Saturday afternoon, Marcus was at his apartment making lunch when someone knocked. He opened the door to find Victoria standing there in jeans and a sweater, looking almost unrecognizable without her suit. Hi, she said, suddenly awkward. Hi. I brought pizza. I thought Sophie might be hungry. Marcus smiled, stepped aside. Come in. Sophie was on the living room floor, surrounded by crayons. She looked up, eyes widening. You're the pretty lady from Daddy's phone, Victoria laughed. I'm Victoria. I'm Sophie. Do you like pepperoni? I love pepperoni. They ate pizza on the floor. Sophie chattering about school, about her art teacher, about the butterfly she'd seen that morning. Victoria listened with genuine interest, asking questions, laughing at Sophie's jokes. Marcus watched them, something warm expanding in his chest. After lunch, Sophie asked Victoria to color with her. They spent an hour creating a masterpiece, a company building with flowers growing from every window. This is your daddy's work, Sophie explained, pointing to the building, and these are all the happy people inside. Victoria's eyes glistened. It's perfect. When Sophie went to her room to find more art supplies, Victoria turned to Marcus. Thank you. For what? For letting me in. For trusting me with her. Marcus moved closer. You earned it. Did I? You stood up to your board. You chose people over profit. You kept your word. He paused. Yeah, you earned it. Victoria looked at this man who'd survived war, loss, and humiliation with grace, who was raising a remarkable daughter alone, who saw her not as a CEO, but as a person trying to do better. I'm not good at this, she said softly. The personal stuff. I've spent so long being professional that I forgot how to just be human. You're learning, Marcus said. That's what matters. Sophie returned with glitter. Miss Victoria, will you come back? Daddy needs more friends. Victoria laughed through tears. I'd like that very much. 6 months later, the Meridian Technologies annual gala sparkled with achievement. But the biggest change wasn't the revenue numbers or the new contracts. It was the people. Victoria stood at the podium, no longer nervous, no longer performing, just present. This year, we implemented 43 safety improvements suggested by our workplace safety team. 0 major incidents, 78% increase in employee satisfaction. She smiled. But the real story is about seeing people. Marcus stood at the side of the stage, Sophie beside him in a purple dress she'd picked out herself. Marcus Hayes joined our leadership team 6 months ago, Victoria continued. He taught us that the most valuable insights come from the people closest to the work. That strength means admitting when you're wrong. That real leadership is about service, not status. She gestured to him. Marcus, come up here. He walked onto the stage, Sophie gripping his hand. Victoria presented him with an award, the Integrity Award, newly created, named after her father. "You saved this company," she said quietly, "not from theft, from forgetting what we stood for." Marcus accepted the award, then leaned into the microphone. "I'm not a speech guy, but I'll say this. Every person in this room matters. The janitors who keep this place clean, the assistants who keep things running, the engineers who innovate, the CEOs who lead." He looked at Victoria. "We're stronger together than we are separate. That's what I learned in the Navy. That's what I'm learning here." The room erupted in applause. Later, after the formal events ended, Victoria found Marcus and Sophie on the terrace, looking at the city lights. "You clean up nice," Marcus said, gesturing to her gown. "You too," Victoria replied, admiring his suit. Then to Sophie, "That's a beautiful dress." "Daddy let me pick it myself." Victoria knelt down to Sophie's level. "I have something for you." She handed Sophie a sketchbook, professional quality, with Sophie's name embossed on the cover. Sophie's eyes went huge. "For me?" "For you. I've seen your drawings. You're really talented. I thought you might want something special for your art." Sophie threw her arms around Victoria. "Thank you." After Sophie ran off to show the sketchbook to Eleanor, Marcus and Victoria stood alone on the terrace. "You didn't have to do that," Marcus said. "I wanted to." Victoria looked at him. "She's remarkable. You're remarkable. We're just surviving, same as everyone." "No." Victoria stepped closer. "You're thriving. You're building something beautiful from loss and hardship. You're teaching me how to do the same." Marcus reached out, took her hand. "We're teaching each other." Below them, the city glittered with possibility. Behind them, through the glass doors, Sophie showed her sketchbook to delighted guests. Eleanor watched them both, smiling. "My mission used to be survival," Marcus said quietly. "Now it's something more." "What?" He looked at Victoria. "Building a life worth living, not just for Sophie, for me too." Victoria squeezed his hand. "I think we're both on that mission now." They stood together, two people from different worlds who'd found common ground, not through romance or rescue, but through respect, honesty, and the courage to change. Sophie's laughter drifted across the terrace. Marcus smiled. Victoria smiled. And in that moment, everything felt exactly right. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.